It's only when I come in this house, I go in my shell. 'Cause I didn't think my brothers I'm better than my brothers are better than me. I thought my mother and my dad didn't love me. I said, of course we loved you. It was so stupid. I said, no, but I didn't think that at the time. Yeah. And obviously, like, there was this thing called love languages. And my dad's love language, it was time. So every time I beat every rugby, he wouldn't miss any rugby matches. My brother, you got 4 of us to follow. So he'd be there, he'd be on the touchline, the snow, the sleet, the rain, he'd be all weathers. He'd be there, soaking wet, freezing cold. So effectively, when I couldn't play rugby anymore, I didn't have his time. So I didn't have his love as far as I was concerned. So I spoke to them on the Friday. I sat my son down in a coffee shop in Cardiff. He was in Cardiff Met studying sport. And at the end of the conversation, a 4.5 hour chat we had, I told him I loved him for the first time in his life. And he's 20. For 22 years, I never told him I loved him.
Amazing.
And again, looking at it, my love language with him was time. So I get emotional now. Sorry.
Welcome to the Dare to Be Different podcast, where today I am joined by an inspirational man, a motivational speaker, a mental health coach with a passion to share his story, to influence and help men struggling with mental health. Andrew Jenkins. Andrew, what a pleasure. We've been waiting for this for a while. It's amazing to meet you. How are you feeling?
Amazing. I'm really glad. I'm really looking forward to this, actually. I've been wanting to speak to you for a while. We've talked on LinkedIn a couple of months ago, but we haven't actually met. So it's been brilliant to meet you, actually. It's good. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, it was wonderful to spend some time with you earlier.
Yeah.
We're going to dive straight in. So you're 21 years of age. You are destined to play for the Welsh rugby team. It's been a dream. You've almost been conditioned by the society you grew up in Llantwysant, in Wales, to be a professional rugby player. You hadn't thought about anything else at school. That's all that mattered. Mm-hmm. And then you're in a car. At the age of 21, you're driving. You're in a nasty crash, a nasty accident, and you're pronounced dead on the side of the road. 24 years later, you're sat here with me. We've just had a coffee. You're beaming. You're in shape. You've got love in your eyes. You're living a sense of purpose. I'm not saying you're perfect. And you're on this passion, a fierce passion, it seems, to help people with mental health problems. Yeah. So I want to talk about your transformation. Okay. I know there's been some significant ups and downs. I know it wasn't all easy. No. Let's start with being pronounced dead on the side of the road. What happened after that?
Well, it was when the emergency services turned up at the accident. They were asking people in the car, was he speeding, etc. And they said, "Oh no," he said, "It's too late now. He's dead." So I'm not a ghost, so I didn't die. And then I lost, I think 8 pints of blood in your body. I think I lost 6 of them. So I had a blood transfusion on the side of the road there and then. They rushed me there's a hospital in Wales called the Royal Gwent, which is in Newport. Obviously, I know you know. So they took me to the Royal Gwent in Newport, and there was nothing they could do for me there. So then I had a police escort down to Morrison Hospital, which is in Swansea, because that's where neurology was and plastic surgery. And while all this was going on, my mother and father were getting the knock on the door from the police to say, "Your son's been involved in a road traffic accident, you have to come now." And they were in their my mother was in a night dress as well, petticoat. It was in 11:30 at night, I think, something like that. My dad was in his pyjamas, and they said, "We'll just get changed." They thought it was a little bump. They said, "No, you haven't got time to get changed. It's that critical. You have to come now." So they were put in the back of a police car. They were blue lighted then from Llantwysant or Talbot Green, Llantwysant, to the Royal Gwent Hospital, where I was. But then as soon as they got to the hospital, I was on the trolley coming back out of the hospital, go back in the ambulance to go down to Morrison Hospital in Swansea. And my family weren't allowed to see me as I'm in such a bad way. They weren't allowed to see, as you can imagine, I sustained significant head injuries. I won't go into detail on camera because people are quite squeamish. And so I suffered really bad head injuries. And my dad said, "Can I go into the back of the ambulance with him to travel?" And they said, "We're not allowed." They said, A, we can't really don't want to see him, but secondly, there's a doctor in the back, there's a nurse in the back, we got all the machinery keeping him alive. And they said, we doubt he's going to make the trip from Newport down to Swansea, which was 40 minutes. So they didn't think I was going to survive the trip. Right. Obviously I did. I was in a coma. They operated on me straight away. I smashed my skull into pieces, I suppose. So they had to remove all the bone from my brain. They actually phoned the doctor that night to come into work because he was in the house to operate on me. And that was it. And then I was in a coma for 4 weeks then in intensive care. They were called in on numerous occasions to say we probably wouldn't make it through the night. And then when I did start recovering or getting slightly better, they said, be prepared, because from the scans on his brain, he's got severe brain damage because there's lots of shadowing. They said if he does wake up, there's a chance he won't wake up. But if he does, he's not going to be able to recognise his family, friends, walk, talk, use arms and legs ever again. So I woke from my coma. I remember who people were, but I didn't know. I remember my mother standing on my bed crying and tears falling on my face. And I didn't know where I was. You'd been involved in a car accident, and I didn't know where I was or anything. And that was that. And then the doctors, remember they saying to me, the surgeon saying, you'll never walk ever again. And I said, I guarantee I'll walk at this hospital. And he said, Andrew, you won't ever walk ever again. And I said, I will walk again, no disrespect. I couldn't go from being 5 to 21, being fit, sporty all my life, to being in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. And I know you'd adapt. And I know people in wheelchairs, one from playing rugby, breaking his neck in a scrum playing rugby. And I know you'd adapt. But at the time, you don't want to hear that at the time. And I'm quite a strong mentally and physically person. And I was determined I'd walk again. So I learned to walk it took me about 2 weeks to learn to walk again. And so I defied medical...
By yourself?
Oh, see, it was physios as well.
Yeah.
It was physios obviously got me. But I remember the first time they got me out of bed was horrendous because they after 2 months, I think it was, after they got me out of bed for the first time, and they stood me up, and I felt sick straight away because I'd been on my back for 2 months. So I had to lie back, sit back down, and when they eventually got me up, I just stood there, and I could not, I could not remember, I couldn't find my legs. I can't remember I had feeling in my legs and all, they were just numb, I can't remember, but I just stood there, I could not, my brain, it was frustrated, could not find my legs. And then the physio had to pick my feet up and physically move them, one in front of the other. And then, obviously, over time, mind, muscle memory and everything, I remembered how to walk, luckily then. And I was in the hospital. I'd pull myself out of bed every night, or not every night, some nights, and I'd try and walk on my own. And the nurses go mad, stay in bed. And I was determined. I'd learned to walk. It took me 2 weeks to learn to walk then. And so the physical injuries were horrendous. My arm was dragged along the floor as well. I got a large scar on my arm. And I said, lucky at the time, I had quite big arms. I was doing a lot of rugby training, running, physically fit, cardio fit, and aerobic fit and strong. And they said, as you'd lost your arm, straight, I had a big hole in my arm, which they had to skin graft over and put muscle there. And so the physical injury I had were awful. And they had titanium plates fitted in my head. But the worst thing for me, my biggest challenge lay ahead, which is really my mental health, I suppose, and my well-being. That was what I struggled with the most for 20 odd years.
Yeah. Okay. Just pause there for a second. So you survived. People said you were dead. You survived. I know you've got a lot of gratitude for the surgeon and the physio, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But you've survived. You've been resilient. They've repaired you, but with sheer determination, you've got yourself back, and you've got yourself back into life. But you and I know, growing up with 3 brothers or 4 brothers? 3 brothers, no sisters, council estate. I know what that's like. In Wales, in the valleys, rugby player, tough guy mask. Your parents love you unconditionally, but they also love you, especially your dad, because you're playing rugby. Your mates think you're great because you're playing rugby. All of a sudden, you can't play rugby. You've lost that identity, which is all you knew. Tell me about the next few years, mate.
Wow. You hit the nail on the head. It was perfect. Describe my upbringing perfectly there. They say, my parents loved me, but they never displayed that or showed that. And it's not knocking. They're amazing people, amazing people. And that's just the generation they're from. I remember my dad's 80 now, my mother's 76. So they were coming out to World War II, I suppose, and their family must have been worse again. They didn't show affection like that way. A man to man up, stiff up my lip and all this sort of thing. And that's what I was brought up like. And I thought if I showed vulnerability or emotions, it would make me weak. And I didn't want, you can't be weak. You're a winner, you're a born winner, you're the best, and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I struggled there for years. Like I said, I lost my identity. The only way I thought of really making my dad proud growing up and to fit in with my friends and family was playing rugby. And when I lost that, I thought, it sounds mad, right? I thought my dad didn't love me anymore, wasn't proud of me anymore. Yeah. My 3 brothers are still playing rugby at a good standard as well. All of them played a really good standard. And then every Sunday, mother would make a big family tea, and all the brothers would go there, all the family, all their girlfriends and wives, and all the men would end up in one room. My dad in the living room watching Scrum 5 on a Sunday evening, Scrum 5 at 5:10. And then all the women, the girlfriends and wives end up in the other room. And all the boys were sitting there saying, I played rugby yesterday, I scored a try, I done this, I had a fight or whatever. I'm sat there thinking, what can I talk about? I did a jigsaw puzzle, I read a book. I had nothing to talk about. I was doing a lot of reading and work over the love language. I've done a lot of work over the last couple of years. I've had lots of light bulb moments over the last couple of years of studying and working on myself. And but at the time, I just thought, I didn't think he loved me. And I just stopped talking then, really. Not physically, but I didn't contribute to anything, because all they talked about in the living room was sport, rugby. All they talked about. I didn't think I was one of them anymore. Like, and I pulled myself away from the situation. Really, I stopped going to the local rugby club where all my friends were, because I didn't feel like I was one of them. I was in the club after the game, and they'd all coming off the pitch. It's a camaraderie. Obviously in the team, is a team spirit. And I just felt I was standing there. Nobody ever said anything bad to me. I just played. Oh, your mind is so powerful. I just played this in my own head. I made this in my own head, thinking, I'm not one of these anymore. Do you know what I mean? I'm not.
Yeah.
I stopped going to the local rugby clubs. I pulled myself out of that situation. My family. And it's funny when I spoke to my mother and father. So you changed as a boy. Like, I don't know if you're going to go into this later on, I imagine. But I spoke to my mother and father for the first time ever about the accident last year. And I sat them down and talked to them about it. They said, you're a different boy. I said, well, what do you mean? Why? Tell me why. Oh, you're moody. You're different. I said, yeah, but I didn't think my dad was proud of me or loved me anymore. My brothers are better than me. I was like, I thought I caused so much trouble and stress for the family as well. It was a hindrance. And then, but it was a really open, honest conversation last year. But it was hard. I struggled for 20 odd years, and like every relationship I ever had, I ruined every relationship I had because I hated myself. I look in the mirror, I call myself a freak every single day. If I spoke to my mother now, she gets upset about it. Listening to her own son say that about himself is awful. Imagine my son saying he's a freak. It would break my heart. And she said, people just come to my mother's house to see my mother and father. Or I'd run upstairs and hide in my bedroom. They don't want to see my scars, and I hated what I saw. Every relationship, every girlfriend I've had has been great. I've never had a bad relationship. I've ruined every relationship. I've jumped from one relationship to another because I felt so shit about myself. Excuse the language. I felt so bad about myself. Hated what I saw. I projected my insecurity on other people then. So after a couple of years, somebody else comes along. I know it's bad. I regret. One thing I got in life, I don't regret many things, but one thing, I've upset so many people in my life. Good girlfriends, nice people. They love me. They treated me right. Somebody else come along, they say nice things about me, make me feel good about myself inside for a minute, or a couple of days, weeks, months, and I jump from one to another. It's horrendous. It's bad. It hurt people so bad. I wish I'd worked on myself first of all. It just didn't happen like that. It doesn't happen like that. I wish I worked on myself first before I got into a relationship. But again, it was like a boost to my own confidence, I suppose. Doing that sort of thing. And I wish I could speak to some. I wish I could apologise to them all. I've spoken to some since, and they said we knew what you were like. We could have told you all this before when we were with you, but you wouldn't have listened to us. But it was hard. It affected all my relationships, and it was terrible. And I after 15 years after my accident, I went for counselling. It was one of my relationships I was with, a very, very pretty girl from Gibraltar. Really good-looking girl, model. She's a really beautiful girl, and every couple of months I'd end up causing an argument. I'd self-sabotage an argument. Are you going to cheat on me? I just really stop saying it. She goes, you're ruining the relationship. You're a lovely person. You make me feel amazing, physically, mentally. So I went for counselling for the first time ever, and the woman I saw was amazing. I recommend anybody should have like therapy, counselling. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't make you a broken person. Because as soon as you say the word counselling, you expect somebody to be sitting in a corner, rocking back and forth, crying.
Of course.
I say to people now, you pay £100 for your personal trainer for your physical health. Why not pay something for your mental health?
Of course.
They go hand in hand. Physical and mental go hand in hand, I said. So the woman I saw, she had tattoos. She was, no, that makes a difference. She was like down to earth, and she got, you're grieving. After the first session, she got, no, what's wrong with you? You're grieving. I said, what do you mean grieving? That's when you physically die. You don't physically got to die. You're grieving your whole life. All I've heard of you today is, I used to play rugby. I used to do this. I used to look like this. You're grieving your whole life. Everybody grieves at some stage when they lose your job. Sports when they give up their career. People when they give birth grieve, she said, because they can't go out as much. They haven't got as much freedom, as much money. So everybody grieves. And it's a subject which I talk about now. And people, when I speak to them about it, as soon as you say the word grieving to people, they automatically think death, dying. But it's not. So yeah, it was a struggle for 20 odd years really, and it was a battle mentally and physically. It was difficult, really tough.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for sharing that, mate. So the greatest battle of your life was getting through the accident, and then you go home, and then you have the second greatest battle of your life. You've lost your identity, and then you have the third greatest battle of your life. You've lost your tribe, the rugby lads. And you looking back now, I'm guessing you didn't know it at the time because you were hurting on the inside, but you're projecting left, right, and centre on relationships. Yeah. I get it. You were really hurt on the inside. Were there any other coping mechanisms to get you through that?
I'd smash myself in the gym. I'd go boxing. I'd smash myself in the gym, and I went back playing rugby I can't remember exactly when it was. A couple of years after my accident, I had all titanium plates and everything fitted in my head, and the doctors said, I saw about 2 or 3 doctors. I'd ask every different doctor I saw, can I play rugby? No, I can't rugby. Can I play rugby? No. The one doctor I saw, he was quite young and down to earth. He understood my background. He was like from the valley. I don't know where he was from, but he said, there's not that much more risk to play rugby. He said, titanium is stronger than bone. If you clashed heads with someone, they'd probably be worse than what I was. But so I went back and played rugby. But after I've done a lot of studying and research the last couple of years and self-analysis and on myself, I think I went back to play really for the wrong reasons. I did enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but I think I went back to play to be accepted again, or to get my identity back. I think to be one of the rugby boys again, to make my dad proud. So I can say to my dad on a Sunday, I played rugby yesterday. I scored a try and that. So I felt part of the family again. So I went back playing and reckless, really, I suppose. You know, I played in the same team as my two older brothers. I got two older brothers, one younger brother. And three of us played for Llantriston. So I played front row. My one brother's behind me in the second row. My other brother's in the centre. So I remember they say, what if one of the brothers kicks you in the head and kills you? A bit drastic, I know, but how would they feel about your brother then? And so looking back, it was a bit selfish. My mother and father sat at my bedside for months, like, to me on end, worrying about me, and then to go and play rugby, which is like a brutal sport, can be. It was back then, it's not bad now, but it was back then. It was a bit selfish, I think, looking back, really, but it was mad. I did enjoy it, but then my family spoke to the club and told them not to pick me anymore. So after 6 months, they wouldn't pick me in the club.
Wow.
They said, my brother said, don't pick him anymore. So they wouldn't pick me in the team anymore because I wouldn't play.
I mean, you're laughing right now, and it's beautiful to see you smiling, actually, looking back at it. But what that part of your story says to me is how, as humans, we just crave a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And how important that is. How you found a sense of belonging after that?
My son came to me when he was 14 years of age in the summer. Normally in the summer, it's like only tennis and athletics. He didn't want to do any of that. He said, Dad, can you set up a rugby league team? My family love all sport. If like Tiddlywinks is a sport my dad would be watching. If you go to my dad's house now, he's watching some sport. It's like tennis, rugby, cricket. Or he loves cricket, anything. He loves sport. And he got his chair in his living room. His chair, he watches his sport and that. And we're all the same. But like, he said, I want to set up a rugby league. So I went to have a meeting in the Welsh Rugby League in Sophia Gardens in Cardiff. And I said, we had a panel of people at Bob. I said, I want to set up a rugby league side. What am I going to do? And they told me what I had to do. So I had to do lots of checks and background, lots of things went on. And I set my rugby league side then called the South Wales Rabbitohs.
Wow. I
hope Russell Crowe doesn't watch this. We had stole his name. It's all South Sydney. So we had exactly the same colour kit, the same motif, everything. So South Wales Rabbitohs. And we were a really good side. We're the best team. We won the league and the cup 3 years on the trot. We done a double. We had 5 boys in the full Welsh internationals, and we had 13 boys in the East Wales team. And like my son was one of the played for Wales under 16s, and about 3 or 4 times he played for Wales, and yeah, it was really that was part of my belonging again, I suppose, and
connection with your son as well, right?
Yeah, it was good. So like, I stopped playing rugby, but I got my level 1, level 2 coaching union and league. Actually, I can coach union and league, level 1, level 2. So I got that, and yeah, don't get me wrong, it's not the same as playing. It never will be the same as playing, but it was still good. Developing kids, nurturing children, and seeing them come from not being so good when they turned up the first time to developing them. And you're not just a coach, I think. You're like a second dad to some of them. Some of them come from like, not say broken homes or not very good backgrounds. And they end up confiding in you, talking to you. And that's like, I was a mini counsellor back then, I suppose, or a coach back then, when 10 years ago. But it's really good. It gave me a sense of achievement and pride. And I was so proud of my players. And I really enjoyed that. And I'll give me my sense of purpose again.
Amazing. Interesting listening to you talking about your dad. It sounds like my old man, rest his soul. You talk about him sitting in the chair watching sport. Was he also the remote control master?
Oh, nobody has remote control, yeah. I think it's on Velcro on his hand. Yeah, he got it next. He got a holder next to over his chair. Yeah, he got a hold on the arm of his chair. He puts his remote control in.
I remember once I come from Wigan. It's Wigan's like a little version of Wales.
Yeah.
And when I was in my 20s, every boxing night in Wigan, you have a fancy dress.
Oh yeah.
And once I went as my dad, and all my mates knew who I was when I went out. I had a pair of tracky bottoms on, a vest, like broken glasses, stubble, but I also had like a cardigan on, and I put the remote control, and I fucking lost it, and it went berserk. It was like, oh man, so funny.
Yeah, it does something. Yeah, Wales. It must be a generational thing, honestly. Yeah, they say he's a lovely person, lovely role, great role model. He's 80 years of age. He's fit as a fiddle. He walks miles, and he's a nice person. He's a genuine gentleman, like women say, and he's a true gentleman. Do you mean he doesn't swear, and he does when around rugby boys when you're on the bait up a club, but he's really respectful. He's a good role model for me growing up. To me, I wanted to be like my dad, to be honest. And he was a good guy. But just a generation he's from, just don't show any feelings and emotions. Do you mean I'd never seen him. To this day, even in my grandfather's funeral, I've never seen him get emotional or anything like. Do you mean? I projected on my son then. Do you mean? And I only told my. Yeah, I don't know what if you can ask me this later on. Like for example, the turning point. I spoke to my mother and father last year, but I spoke to my son as well for the first time last year about the accident. He's 22. I met him in a coffee shop in Cardiff. We had a 4.5 hour chat about everything. Drink.
Let's go into this. The turning point, right? This is the turning point for you.
There were two things, triggers, I suppose. I met my previous partner a few years ago, and she'd had a trauma in her life when she was younger, but she didn't have that trauma define her. She walked around happy, bubbly. She's walking on mother and father's house. She got a breath of fresh air. She'd hug my mother, hug my dad, kiss him. The brothers are looking at her thinking, who's this weirdo? Nobody touches my parents. And like, they loved it. They hugged her back, and they're thinking, and she was like, she was an amazing person. She's an amazing, I don't know, hard feelings is one of the things. We moved on in different paths, and she taught me, for the first time in my life, I could be vulnerable around a girl, or anybody, I think. I took my mask off, but she didn't treat me any differently. Wonderful. She didn't judge me, or...
So you felt safe?
Yeah. I could still be a real man, whatever that is, be a real man, or still be a strong man, but also show my emotions as well. She didn't think any less of me. She allowed me to be vulnerable. And it's a scary feeling being vulnerable on someone. They got your vulnerability. It's a scary thing when you've never been done it for 40 odd years of my life. Yeah. I've never done it. I have to walk around being strong and dormant, security, rugby, gym. I was a strong man in the gym. And to be vulnerable was really scary, but I'm glad I did, to be honest, and I cry over like movies and that, like films on telly and that, so I wanted to be like her. I just get frustrated looking at her. I think I want to be like that. But I also met the man last year who saved my life. He operated on me the night of the accident. They got him out of bed, Professor Lang, and I went to see him. I tracked him down on Google, which is a bit creepy, but I did track him down, and I went to see him, and I told him I was turning up. I didn't just rock up at his office, and I walked in, and he said, it's incredible. He said, I can't know how big and strong you are. He said, you should be dead. You should have died on so many occasions. And I'm thinking, what am I looking back at my life for? Looking back at what I'd lost. I might never have played rugby professionally. I don't know. It's all ifs and buts. But I think I'm living the rest of the life on ifs and buts and what I've lost. Start looking forward and think I'm given a second chance at life. To me, there's no Andrew Jenkins a sequel or part 2. This is my life. This is it. I can live the next 20, 40, 50 years with a chip on my shoulder, resentful, or I could just get my act together and start like looking forward. So I started a lot of research, studying. So them two things were the catalyst really, what I needed. So I sat my mother and father down on the Friday to say I want to talk about the accident, and I knew what reaction I'd get off them. What do you want to talk about that for? So I want to talk about it. I say, you changed as a boy. I said, well, why? Tell me why I changed. You went quiet and moody. I said, it's funny, whenever you speak to anybody else from, who knows me, like people I worked with in the local area, he's fun, he's bubbly, he's life and soul. And they look at him, my parents look at him thinking, Andrew, he's really quiet than that. It's only when I come in this house, I go in my shells. I didn't think my brothers I'm better than my brothers are better than me. I thought my mother and my dad didn't love me. I said, of course we loved you. It was so stupid. I said, no, but I didn't think that at the time. Yeah. And obviously, like it was this thing called love languages. And my dad's love language, it was time. So every time I beat every rugby, he wouldn't miss any rugby matches. My brother, you got 3 of us, the 4 of us to follow. So he'd be there, he'd be on the touchline, the snow, the sleet, the rain, he'd be all weathers. He'd be there, soaking wet, freezing cold. So effectively, when I couldn't play rugby anymore, I didn't have his time. So I didn't have his love as far as I was concerned. So I spoke to them on the Friday. I sat my son down in a coffee shop in Cardiff. He was in Cardiff Met studying sport. And at the end of the conversation, a 4.5 hour chat we had, I told him I loved him for the first time in his life. And he's 20. For 22 years, I never told him I loved him. Amazing. And again, looking at it, my love language with him was time. So I get emotional now. Sorry. So I told him I loved him, but my love language to him. So I used to watch all my son's rugby matches. He used to play Cardiff City Academy. He's a good footballer and good rugby player. He played outside Arthur Centre. I used to watch all his football, rugby. I used to take him to training. I used to drive around the country all the time and take it. I loved doing it. I loved doing it. But that was my love language. I never told him I loved him, but mine was time for him. So looking back, after I've done a lot of this work over the last couple of years, I got upset sometimes. I think some of the things I've said to my son when he comes off the field is terrible. Like, when you're a sports, you've had a bad game. You don't need your dad to tell you about a bad game. No. So somebody's come off the field, like my way of doing it, this is a totally wrong way of doing. He done 10 good things in a game, scored 100 points, not 100, but he scored like, I'd always find the one negative he didn't do in the game. So he's probably thinking, I can never be good enough for my dad. I'd say things to him, and once, I even got in my car before the game had finished and went home before the game had finished. So in the game, it was a terrible game. I don't know what happened, but I got home. But he's after the game, he's looking out for the one person he wants to be talking to and consoled by after the game is his dad. I'm not even there. What's that telling my son? Like, how bad is that? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's effective time. I don't love him because that was my time, was his. So I left the ground and I got home and he's thinking, where's my dad? I'm not even there. I got upset about that. Like, and I'm thinking, that's terrible. I've told him. I said, I'm sorry. Like, and when I had this conversation, he said, yeah, it's fine. Like, and he said, do you mean? And my brother's the same. I spoke to my brothers my son on a Saturday morning, my other brother on a Saturday afternoon, my other brother on a Sunday, my other brother on a Monday. It's like a big therapy weekend. And my one brother, next brother up, Kevin, he got a son. He plays for the Exeter Chiefs. He's on an academy there. He's 20, U1, outside half. And I was talking to my brother and his wife at the time. There's 3 of us in the house. And I was saying about what I was saying about Morgan. And his wife was saying to my brother, "To remind you of anyone?" Because we're all the same. I said, in the way we think of it, you know, we always pick on the negatives all the time. You want to try and make that person be better. But it's probably having a counterproductive effect on them, because they probably think they're never good enough. So rather than, you say, "Oh, well done, they've done everything." I mean, I listened to my brother talk to my nephew. He had a brilliant game for Exeter. He played in the cup final against the London Irish last year. He played outside half. He had a really good game. But he come off the field. "Oh, you missed that one tackle." I mean, so you always focus on the one negative. I don't know if it's a British thing or a Welsh thing, or whether it's just my family thing. I think it's just a sportsman thing. I don't know what it is, but so there's loads of turning points in my life, and I'm on the right path. Though. It's good.
So how long ago was that when you had those key conversations with family members?
Year ago.
Well,
24
tell us
years.
a bit more about what you said to your son, because we were speaking about this earlier. How was that?
It was funny. I spoke. We were open. We talked about drinking, drugs, MDMA, cocaine, steroids. I know one of these. I can't talk to my parents about anything. Like if I'm at my parents' house now, and if like a David Attenborough program comes on and 2 monkeys start going at it, I got to walk out the room. I think, "Oh, I'll get him back. I'll get a cup of coffee. I'll get a tea." I've had a child. Like, so they know I've had sex at least once, and my parents have done it at least 4 times. They got 4 boys, but it's a bit awkward. It goes, the atmosphere goes, animals on, like elephants on telly. Think, "Oh my God, I'll go and do I want to drink?" I walk out the room. It's crazy. 45 years of age.
But that's been modelled to us, hasn't it? Because as kids, my mother and father, if someone's kissing, we'll turn that over.
Or
you know, if there's a bit of nakedness, we'll turn that channel over.
Well, don't say how many homosexuals come on the telly on Coronation Street. Oh, there's uproar. My mother's no, but like that's it. They love this. They love this. This is a generational thing, but so we had that conversation. I said to him, I hope he can come and talk to me about anything at all. I want to be open, because I'm not stupid. I'm not one of these naive parents who thinks my son is perfect. He goes to raves, right? He goes to these raves. I know what goes on in raves, done security, right? So I know he's going to get offered. He goes to the gym all the time. And everybody goes to the gym, at least think about it, touching performance enhancing drugs at least once in their life. But I hope that he can come and talk to me. So I know what he's doing. If anything does go wrong, then I know what's happened, rather than hiding it from me. I got an open relationship to him, because and we talk about everything together now. He comes to me and he wants to talk about if a problem with his girlfriend, and we had a really open conversation. And I said to him, I jumped from one relationship to another. I said I wish I had done it, and I was chasing like dopamine hit. I said, well, chasing because I hated myself. I said, don't ever do that. I said, treat women properly. And just work on yourself first. I said, and he won't. He's a really, really good kid. I'm not just saying it. I'm being biased, but he got a good head on his shoulders. I've learned a lot off him, so much off him the last couple of years. He's a good kid, really switched on. We had a really good open conversation. We talked about everything, to be honest. A bit too much detail sometimes, but it was a good chat we had.
Great. So in a moment, I do want to talk about the TV program that you were on. But before we do that, I want to touch a little bit deeper on the stuff that you and I grew up in learning about manhood in childhood, because we've grown up in similar societies. We're both from council estates, rugby towns, and we grow up believing, through watching our dad and his mate and TV and alpha males on TV, and we realise that actually we might receive a bit more love and we might be a bit more accepted if we're stoic, strong in the gym, good at sport. And then we realise when we're teenagers, actually, if I'm a bit daft, my mates like me even more. And if I have sex with women at the weekend, my friends like me even more. So we end up objectifying women as sex objects. We end up suppressing our emotions, especially sadness. Sometimes we show anger, but underneath that anger is insecurity, shame, hurt, sadness, and so on and so on. And mate, I know there's a lot of good that we take from growing up like that as well. It's polarized. But the stuff that you and I grew up downloading about what it means to a man, it doesn't fucking help us in relationship.
No.
I've also struggled in relationship as well. How do we change that? How do we, first of all, reclaim those parts that we suppressed growing up, but show something else to the men out there?
There's been good role models, I think, in educating people. I think you need to educate people by going out doing talks in schools, universities and things. And I'm not going to, it's a different subject altogether, I suppose, but like, the curriculum is like 40 years out of date. Do you mean? I'm not knocking, teachers do a great job, they work hard, right? They do work hard. But I'm thinking, Pythagoras' theorem and like King Harold had an arrow in the eye in 1066. Do you mean? Yeah, great. But I'd rather, why not teach the kids about APRs, percentages in school? At the moment, right, with the most educated population the world has ever had, right? We've got so much information. So why is the suicide rates increasing? Why is mental health struggling? Why is self-worth so long? Why is there a financial crisis? Why is obesity breaking the NHS? We should be the fittest, happiest, healthiest, richest population we've ever been. So something is breaking down somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think in school, we should teach kids about APRs. We should teach kids about, how to, putting things in place if they started feeling a bit low in mood, or like triggers and things, and also coping mechanisms they can put in place. That'll help the suicide rates. And if when I was 12, if one of my mates came up to me and said, "Oh, I'm struggling with mental health, my exams," and I said, "Oh, I won't say what I sort of said to him, but I was like, get on with it, kick a pass a ball, give me a rugby ball."
Yeah, don't be soft.
Yeah, or to be gay or something like that back then. Yeah, do you know what I mean? But like, yes, but like, I know I'm not saying teach kids to be counsellors or psychologists, but at least give them the basics, the signpost them, go and tell the teacher or tell somebody, like, communication's a big thing. It doesn't make you weak to talk. Do you mean, talk to someone, don't bottle it up. And I say to people now, I know it's an awkward conversation. I'm not knocking people when somebody's struggling with their mental health. Have the conversation, when people come in, people in work, your friends, going through a separation. I said, saying nothing is worse than doing, is worse than anything. I said, because I know you'd want to, trigger something. I say to people, I'd rather you cry on me or have an awkward conversation than come to your bedside in 6 months' time, or even worse, your funeral in 6 months' time. And I say, people overthink it, because when I was struggling with mental health, what normally happens, it ends up in an argument, right? Well, people, I know they only care, right? But people come up to you, what's wrong? And 99% of the time, the answer you're going to get from people, especially big, strong, is nothing, I'm fine. Don't be offended by that. They're just not ready to talk at that time. But what normally happens then? Tell me, I know there's something wrong. I'm fine. Tell me. And you end up getting frustrated and arguing there with this person. Your guard goes up higher and higher and higher. Stop, there's nothing wrong with me. I say, all you got to say to people, don't overthink it. Just say to them, is everything okay? And when they say yes, which is 99% of the time, just say to them, when you're ready to talk, just drop me a message, pick up the phone, we'll go for a pint, go for a walk, go for some food, then just drop it. And then, in fact, that's so powerful to someone. If you're struggling, if you heard that off your mate or anybody, your work colleague, I think when I'm ready, then I think, he said, give me a ring. Give me a ring, and then we'll go for a walk and a chat. And I learned something off my boy a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago. He lived in a house with 6 rugby boys in uni, as you can imagine what that was like. And he said if he knew somebody was struggling, what they'd say to each other, there's a thing they had. And it's really clever. They'd say, do you want to talk about it or do you want to forget about it? Simple.
Wow.
And his mates say, oh, forget about it. So they go to the gym, they go and get drunk, normally as students, or they go do something. And then later on that day, the other person would open up then. So they say, do you want to talk about it or forget about it? So you'd either talk about the issue or they'd say, oh yeah, just forget about it. And they wouldn't mention it. Then they'd go for a pint or go for a gym. I think that's such a clever and easy way to say to somebody, like, do you want to talk about it or forget about it? Forget about it, which is 99% of the time. You just forget about it. And then when you open up then. You just get in comfortable with that person and create a safe environment for that person, then to be open and talk up. And it's like when people do take their own life or try. And again, I'm not going to go at people. People say, oh, why didn't they come and tell me or talk to me? I said, well, did they try? Did you make yourself available? Do you mean, that's what normally happens. It ends up in an interrogation, doesn't it? I'm knocking people. It's hard, you don't want to trigger people. It is a difficult conversation, but I say listening is a skill. You don't really learn, or active listening, you don't really learn. Or if they do say or tell me, you start telling them, and they start over-talking you or telling them about their situation. They're thinking, you're not really listening to me. You just ask me the question. I start telling you, and then you tell me about your problems. She said, listening is so important to people, and just be quiet. You got 2 of these and 1 of these. Use them in that order, like, do you mean? And close your mouth and listen to someone. Do you mean? Just say nothing.
I think the greatest curriculum we could teach kids in school is relationships. Imagine if we did a 6-year module on how to relate to human beings.
Yeah, exactly. Understanding people, listening to people. That's the other thing. Like I said, obesity is I know it's not feelings anymore, but it's simple. Calories in, calories out. It's not rocket science. You've got all these different diets and fads, and these influencers now selling these crap products to get money paid for them and that. And I got these 6-pack in a day. Yeah, of course you did, mate. And you got kids are looking at this. It's common sense. I know you got the macronutrients, proteins, like that's you go into that. But 90% of people in this country, or most of that, more than that, can't burn more than you're consuming, and you lose weight. Eat more, and it's like a bank account. You spend more, you go into debt. You don't. You have savings. So weight is the same, and I keep it simple. And you see this slimming world, these colours, this points, this sins, this. It's bullshit. It's all about calories. I said. And if you look on the back of a slimming world pack, part of a calorie controlled diet. So I said, if obesity is costing the NHS billions of pounds, billions, and the real people who need help then for other things are not getting seen. I'm not saying it's blaming all on the obese people, but you need to educate kids at 12, 13 years of age, like, do you mean, to help,
Yeah.
you know, with their mental health, with their, you know, struggles, their finances. You know, when they leave school, they want to buy a car. They'll know how much it's going to cost them, or how much the finance is going to cost them. They'll work it out. They think, well, that's going to cost. That's expensive. I won't do it. Or, do you know what I mean? And I think, I don't know, something's breaking down somewhere, and especially the mental health side of things as well. We should be happier, but kids got so many self-worth issues and self-love issues and all this sort of thing at the moment. It's frightening. It's getting worse.
Yeah, of course. All right. So in your recovery, you've been in a dark place, and that you've finally realised you've got to pull yourself out of the past, focus on the future. You've seen the counsellor who's really helpful. You've had those tough conversations. You're getting out there, sharing your story, which is helping you as well as helping other people. Win-win. Anything else you've done that has helped you? You've tried that's really helped you?
People are laughing, but going on one of the biggest TV shows in Britain was probably one of the because I want to struggle mentally. They've got a TV show, a reality show. But the only reason I went on that show is that I want to get a platform to talk about mental health and well-being and show people in life. All I want to do is show people you can have a trauma in life, you can suffer your mental health, you can look different with your scars and everything, but you can still turn your life around and have a great life and do great things, which is what I'm doing now. So like, and I had a page called Strength in You. On my Instagram, and I had a message on there back in March last year to say, do you fancy applying for this show? And I thought, it's really winding me up. And I said, oh, go on then. And I didn't apply for it. And then I went through the process and kept on getting through the next stages. And they said, we love your show, we love your story. It's an amazing story. We like you as a person. You're bubbly. As you can tell, I talk for Britain. You're a nice guy. Do you want to come on the show? Oh, go on, I'll go on the show. And I don't care about being recognised in the street. I come up to Manchester today, I got recognised every 2 minutes. Got a photo with that. I love talk. It's nice, but I genuinely didn't do it for that reason. Yeah, I'm not being ungrateful. It's nice being taken to rugby matches in boxes, all these tickets for this and that. It's nice, but if I never had anything free again, it wouldn't bother me. I'm on a mission, like I'm on a mission now to help people, and I want to make the world a better place. And when I lie in my grave, hopefully be a long time away, I can close my eyes knowing knowing I'm in a difference to this planet, and I'm in a difference to people's lives, and that's what I'm doing now. I get a message on a daily basis to say how much I'm helping people going through their trauma, and I had a message a woman the other day, like, saying she's really struggling with her cancer treatment. What keeps her going is my videos and like my mental health, and so I know I'm making a difference to people's lives, and that means more to me than anything material. My heart and my soul are full now. Whereas, you know, in this world, anything you're brought up to be, you know, do a corporate job, a corporate this, a big house, a fancy car. It's rubbish, all the rubbish. And I didn't really understand all that. People say, you know, it's all materials, it don't matter. But I genuinely, the last couple of years, I do get it. I totally get it. I haven't got a house now. We're back at my parents recently. 45 back at my parents. And I haven't got a relationship. But I've got anything. I got my job. So I haven't really got anything now. But it's a bit scary, but I got to go for it now. And I want to, you know, push and go on and show people you can change things. I want to help as many people as I can, really. So that's what I'm doing now.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Yeah, and you never have to say sorry for showing emotion. It's welcome here, and because you're courageous enough to show it, I actually trust you more than I did an hour ago, and that's the power of showing emotion, and that's how you can really help people. Yeah. So I bless you for that, brother. That's okay. How was that experience? Because it's, you know, you've never been on TV like that before. You're probably shitting yourself. And even that in itself is helping you to grow and get through the fear. How was it, the experience for you? And how has it served you since?
That's been brilliant. The whole experience was amazing. There was 21 other great people in there who all had great stories. And it was a really humbling experience. And I'm just myself. I can't be anything different. Like, people say to me now, you know, don't ever change the person you are when you're doing your talks. I can't. I'm a passionate guy. I get emotional in my talk. I talk about I'm real. I'm relatable. I want to be relatable. I want people to see the real me and in real life how things are. I talk real and I say things probably I shouldn't say. But I want people, I can relate to people. I did a talk last week, for example, and you know that's all I went on the show for, to be honest. When was to get the platform I got now. But the show itself was amazing. They do care about mental health and your well-being. The show do, because they got to, I suppose. And they come to my room every couple of days to make sure I was okay. You know, the psychologist used to come to my room and just check I was okay. But it's a game. I'm a sportsman at the end of it. I'm a sportsman all my life, and I know it's a game. It's an intense game. It's a different game, but it's a game at the end of the day. And all these people in this castle were going back home to their families and friends. And you don't want to break someone and make, you know, damage them after the show. It's a game show at the end of the day. And it's funny, when I was towards the end, I got to the final. I lost in the final, and this is not sour grapes. I'm a sportsman, and It's not. It's generally not. When towards the end, come last say few days, last week, I was missing my family. It was intense. I wasn't sleeping. It was hard. It was fatigue. It was tired, and but it made me realise and think a lot what was important in my life. It made me think of my loved ones, my family, and what's important to me. And don't get me wrong, winning £95,000 would have been nice, but I genuinely didn't care about that towards the end. I just cared about. I want to go back home with my family. That's what matters in my life, is my family, my loved ones, my son, and that's what's important. No, the things I do now, the things I do for free, walking in nature, spending time with my loved ones, running around, that doesn't cost anything at all. And that means more to me than anything at all. Any money can buy any material things. And don't get me wrong, it'd be nice winning the money. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to sit here and say, I didn't want to win the money. Of course I wanted to win it. I like winning. But towards the end, I started thinking I've done my best. Like in all my life growing up, I was never proud of anything I've done. I've always been hard on myself. I've always been like my biggest critic. My ex-partner said to me, I've never met anyone who pushes himself. You're never enough. You always want more in the gym. You always want more. You're always pushing and pushing and pushing. You never sit back and think, yeah, I'm doing right in life. I'm doing okay. Like, and when I was in the car, I was proud of. I sat down in the castle the last couple of days thinking, I'm doing all right. Like, the people who love me and I care about, I'm still the same person. I leave this castle like that, even though I didn't win it. My brothers take the piss out of me not winning, but I did my best, and I'm proud of what I did, and and it was really good experience, and I learned winning's on everything. I mean, winning's on the best. And all you can do in life is try your best. I tell people in schools, universities, all you can do is try your best, and if you lose, you lose. As long as you've done everything you can, look at yourself in the mirror, and you're true to yourself, and you're proud. Like when you look at your teammates, as long as you say to your mates, I've done my best. I didn't let you down. I tried my best. I tackled as hard as I could. You can't ask for any more than that. And if you come second, you lost to a better man or a better team. You can't beat yourself up. But like in your self-worth, the people around you still love you, regardless of where you come in life, or if you fail your exams, the people love you. And that's, don't ever forget that. I mean, the people, your friends, family, brothers, they all still care about you and love you. And that's what I thought of when I was in the castle, thinking, yeah, I don't know what I achieve in life. It didn't make a difference. My mother and father love me unconditionally. My brother, my son, they all love me at the time. So yeah, I had a lot of time to reflect and think about things in the castle. And like since that, it's like it's had the result I wanted. Every day I get messages of people helping people, and I'm doing lots of talks in like companies, schools, and everything. And I did a big talk down in Dorchester a couple of weeks back, and the talk was amazing. The Q&A went on for ages. It gets stopped after an hour because there was so many questions. And the director and the CEO took me for a bit of food after this. So that was incredible. We've never had a Q&A like that. You're such a nice, relatable person. You create such a safe space for every environment. We get doctors coming in here, scientists, people coming in here. Nobody says a word. You come in here, nobody shut up. Everybody starts talking. And there was 2 girls in the room that day, probably in their 30s, 40s. I know how old they were, 30s, 40s. And they both asked questions that day. And they said to me, them people keep themselves to themselves. They don't really talk, keep themselves to themselves. They both admitted there and then they had their own mental health battles as well that nobody in the company knew about.
Wow. So
they said they struggle with opening up and talking, communicate exactly what I did. And they said, how'd you do it? That's why I give them advice in front of all these hundreds of people. Yeah. They open up and talk. So I created such a safe space and environment. And I'm a relatable person, and not disrespect to academic people. And they say my life doctors and everything, but sometimes you can't relate to that sort of thing. How do they know about feelings and emotions related to a trauma? They've just learned in books what it's like to have a trauma. But I've lived it. So lived 100%. Experience. People say, I'm learning more and more. People want lived experiences and that. Talk about lived experience. And, the things I've done to help me might not help with everybody, but I'm not a qualified doctor or psychologist or counsellor. I'm just giving you my stories, and things that help me recover might not help the next person, but the little tips and hints that I can use, simple things, that might help the next guy, or the next woman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What you're doing is really important in terms of showing up and sharing your story, because something that I tell my clients, and it's the greatest leadership lesson ever, and it's this: they, as in people, they can never become what they cannot see.
Yeah.
So by them seeing you, sharing your story, sharing what you've learned from the past, changing the meaning of the past, turning pain into purpose, they're learning. They can't read it in books, as you just quite rightly said. So what you're doing is absolutely incredible. Tell us about some of the stuff you're doing, because I know that you're doing stuff in the corporate space, but you do stuff with charities, you're in schools, you're doing a lot of different stuff. Tell us about what you're on with at the moment.
I do a couple of different universities. I've been just talking my story and things, and I try and make my story relatable to my audience, to be honest. It's quite powerful because I cover off things like communication, listening and talking, because things I struggle with, mental health. I could be there for months. I won't even do it justice because I'm not qualified. I don't know everything on mental health. I just know what I struggled with it, or I struggled with this. I talk about communication, self-worth, self-esteem, loss of identity. I talk about grieving in my talk, and I guarantee every single person in the room I'm talking to will relate to at least one bit of my talk. Because everybody I come up after my talk, they'll come up to me afterwards. A list of queues of people come up to me. That's so relatable to my upbringing. I did a talk last week for Mind, the mental health charity in Cardiff. We did a big walk around Roath Park Lake, and afterwards I did a talk in the cafe at Terra Nova. And the woman who organised it for Mind, her parents were there, and they were like, I'm not sure, I don't know how old they were. I'm not going to say an age, it might offend them if they watch it, but they look good for their age. I don't know how old they were, but they said my parents are similar to your parents. And I had an email off her the next day to say, after that talk, I spoke to my dad on the phone. At the end of that talk, at the end of the phone call, she said, "Oh, Dad, I love you, Dad." He said, "Yeah, you too." He rung her back literally 30 seconds later and said, "I love you too." And that's the first time in his life he's ever told her he loved her. Yeah. And she was like late 30s, I'd say, and I don't know, say they're 60s. And he said, after the result of listening to my talk and my upbringing and my parents, he told her he loved her the first time in her life. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that means that's so powerful. These things like this, the more I hear this, the more it drives me when I'm tired and stressed.
Also, she's, based on what I just said, they can't be what they can't see. Yeah. She's modelled it to him. Sometimes we think our parents have got to tell us. We can tell them because they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
That's what's happened there. She's modelled that to her father, and he's returned it.
Yeah, and he said it was amazing feeling, Shab, when he said it, and he actually phoned her back to say it. And it's nice, and things like that are amazing, and I just love it all the time, and it's really important.
They make it all worthwhile, don't they? Stories like that.
I'm tired and stressed, and all this stuff in the background, and my relationship's over, and that, and it just drives me on even more. I want to do more and more and more and more, and I won't stop until I change the world, I think. But I want to change the world, but I'll do it in small chunks. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's doing things like this, I suppose, get out there and talking to as many people as possible. But there's a ripple effect as well. It's not just the person I'm talking to, the people they go home and tell their friends, their family. So there's a ripple effect. It's not just the people in the room you're talking to, it's everybody else they'll talk to, and it'll organically grow then, I suppose, off the back of it. So I'm, I want to help as many people as I can, like, do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm doing. I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying things at the moment.
Amazing. And anything coming up, mate? You want to share? Any aspirations? Any things you want to create? You want to achieve?
I'm doing another big challenge again, pushing my body. My knees won't thank me for it in the future, but I'm doing a big challenge, walking 1,200 kilometres from starting in the Traitors Castle in Scotland and finishing in Cardiff Castle in Wales. But I'm also going to be going to Lancaster Castle, England, and also Belfast Castle in Northern Ireland. So it's 4 countries and 4 home counties and 4 countries and 4 castles. Every couple of days I'm going to be stopping in university, school, gyms, club, talking about mental health and well-being. I know men can relate to me more, but I don't relate women, because women can experience trauma. They can experience exactly the same things I can. So I know men might relate to me more because I'm a big guy, a strong guy. So men, but a lot of women message me. I released a video the other week, and so I'm more messaged with women than men, to be honest. Yeah. So they, because I speak to a lot of mothers, for example, whose kids are going through sport, for example, and one boy a couple of weeks ago, he got dropped from the Ospreys Academy, a team in Wales, by a text message. He's been in the academy 5 years. He had a text message, and he's 15, dropped from the academy. No follow up, no nothing, no consideration as well. Being his mother said, "What to do is I'm unconsolable. You don't talk to me. Will you talk to him?" He's a rugby boy, and you've been through similar things yourself. So, do you know what I mean? So mothers do experience, especially single parent mothers. They got children who play rugby. I don't call rugby all the time. It's not rugby. Any sport, it could be netball, any elite sport. It's a cutthroat industry these days. It's a money making thing. And they don't really care. These academies, they sign up as many kids as possible, pick the cream of the crop, and then drop the rest of them with no follow up. And these kids, 15 years of age, doing his GCSEs, he could quite easily go down the wrong path, end up on street corners drinking with drugs or whatever. Or if you nurture him, give him some feedback, again, going back to the point about losing, if they'd sat him down and said, "Look, you're not in the academy, we're dropping you, because of this, you're not doing this, work on this, and come back to us," give him some hope, or give him some, not just drop him with no feedback at all. Like he said, he don't want to eat anymore, he's not studying for exams, he don't know what to do with himself. He thinks he's going to be the next Alan Wynne Jones, all of a sudden.
He's been rejected, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Rejection.
It's mad. Honestly, it's terrible.
It's difficult.
Yeah. So, mother, so I want to talk to anybody, I suppose, children, mothers, fathers. I can speak to anybody. My story resonates with lots of different people, not just men.
Of course.
So it's good.
So if there's any people, there's going to be people watching this and listening who are quite inspired and realise that maybe they need to transform some aspects of the behaviour, but then fear kicks in. What would you say to that person who realises that, do you know what, I'm listening to this guy, change is possible. Look what he's been through, and he's still transformed. He looks at the world differently now. He's more loving. He's realised what mistakes. He's made up for his mistakes. He's looking forward. He's got a purpose. He feels a lot of love, and he's got a mission in life. I'm going to change, but then they're too scared to change. What would you say to that person?
There's a couple of things, I suppose, but first of all, is finding your purpose and why. Be true to yourself. Be true to you. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, in this country, in this world, I think we're brought up to be socially conditioned, to be accepted. You got to do this job, do that job. I speak to people now, boys, what do you do for a living? I'm a doctor. Or why do you want to do medicine? Or my dad was a doctor. I'm a teacher. Or my mum was a teacher. What did you want to do when you were a kid? What did you grow up doing? Imagine their parents are doctors, and you go home and I want to be a bricklayer, mum. No, you don't. You want to be a doctor like your dad. Find your true purpose. I'm sat here today because I found my true purpose. I've done corporate jobs, banking, insurance, to keep my parents happy, to keep my social circle happy, to keep my friends happy. To look. When I walk to other people, they say, "What do you do for a living?" I'm a bank manager. I feel good about myself, proud of myself. I had a title. Honestly, it's rubbish. So I think be true to yourself and find your purpose. And I'm not saying, be true to yourself. Put a plan in place and be true to yourself, and your soul will be hard to be full. But also be courageous. Have the courage to have that conversation with your family, with your friends, and that. Be brave and be courageous, and push through fear. On the other side of fear, there's great things, and just push through it. And it is difficult, it's uncomfortable, but nothing in life comes easy. Being comfortable, I said, everything in life. I'm uncomfortable every single day. Doing these podcasts is uncomfortable. Talking, even though I like talking, you could probably tell. Standing on stage in front of 500 people talking about myself, being vulnerable in front of 500 people. I couldn't be vulnerable in front of my parents a couple of years ago. I've been vulnerable in front of millions of people on television. I cried on television in front of national telly. 60 million people have watched that show. And they see a big, strong guy. Like, people see me the first time in the castle in Scotland and thought, oh, he's a big, the other contestants say, well, we're scared of you. But they said, you're a big soft teddy bear, really. I said, I can look after myself. I can protect my family. Don't get me wrong, but I'd rather be a nice person. What's the point? We're all on this planet, I think, as a holiday. We're only here for a short speck of time, and just be nice to people. Just be happy. And everybody's on you with their own battles going on. And I say to people, you never know what's around the corner. Just be nice to someone. But I say to people who want to do it, be courageous, push through the fear. And honestly, it's difficult and uncomfortable. It'll take a while to get used to it, but you'll thank yourself in later years. You will thank yourself, and have that conversation with your parents, with your children. Just talk to people and show love. In this country, we're very reactive. We're not proactive. We're already good at doing things when something goes wrong, but keep on top. Why tell somebody we love them when they're on their deathbed or when they're gone? They can't hear you. Yeah. What's the waste of time that is? And we're already good at doing things. Like when somebody struggles with we don't look after their mental health. It's only when they're at crisis point we start working on it. Yeah. Working on it all the time. You work in the gym. Everybody loves the gym. People go to the gym all the time. Work on their physical health. So why not see a therapist every now and again? It's not bad in America, they do it all the time. But like in this country, we only do it when you try and take your own life or you do something crazy or do something. Then they might see a therapist. No, don't wait for crisis point. Try and keep on top of it. Or do something out in nature. Read a book, listen to a podcast. Do something to keep your mind out. Your mind's a muscle. Your brain is the same as your body, isn't it, I suppose. But yeah, so I say just be brave and just be courageous and just be the real you. Be authentic. Live to your authentic self. Yeah. Do what you want to do.
Thanks, mate. 3 quick fire questions to finish. What are you most proud of in your life?
My son.
What's your greatest challenge right now to move through to make you a better man?
Oh, self-belief, a self-doubt a lot of it. I do get it. I sit there and I come across, even people in the mental health space, and we're not perfect. My life is far from perfect. I'm not a complete article. I'm not an expert, not an oracle for everything. And I get my challenges exactly the same as the next man, the next woman. I struggle with self-worth and imposter syndrome. I'm sitting and talking to these in rooms at the moment because I'm talking what a subject I'm talking about. I'm sitting with these scientists, these professors, with so many letters after their name. I can't even look. They don't even fit on the business card. I'm thinking, it's just me from the valleys, like, to me. I got no qualifications, really. A couple of GCSEs, and I get a bit intimidated sometimes. So it's just believing in myself all the time that I can do what I do, and not thinking I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough, I suppose. And every now and again, I am good. Most of the time, I'm good. But every now and again, I get a little bit of doubt creeps in my mind. Sometimes thinking, oh, I can't do this. Yeah. I need to get a job and fall back into my old habits of working, building somebody else's dream again. But so I say self-doubt, making sure I keep believing in myself, keep having my direction, keep looking forward and not back. And and just being true to myself, I suppose. Keeping being true to myself. And they're the biggest challenge, I suppose. And obviously making sure I get sustainable. And I got bills to pay at the end of the day. I'm not going to sit there and say I do it all for the love of... I do it because I love it. But I also need to monetize this slightly as well. And I need to pay my bills and keep a roof over my head at the end of the day. So,
Of course.
yeah, that's always my biggest challenge, is making sure I got a pipeline of work rather than at the moment I'm getting pulled from pillar to post. And that's a big challenge, is trusting people. At the moment, I'm getting people, come and do this, come and say this, yeah, for free. I'm driving everywhere and it's free. And I do want to help people. I want to change the world. I get every single charity special at the moment, and charity's great, but I can't do everything for free at the end of the day. I got to look after myself, and I struggled with that. That's the big challenge I got, is saying no to people, because the pillars that make Andrew, the gym, health eating, spending time with people, my friends, and that went out the window for months. I didn't go to the gym for months after it all kicked off. I was just so busy rushing around everywhere. And I started really taking a toll on me. And I was drained, I was tired, I was irritable. And when I was going to see people, like in his podcast and that, they weren't getting me at my best. They were getting me at like 50% of my capacity. I was so tired. I was sleeping like 3 hours a night, and I was answering messages, and I was up all the time. But now I've implemented pillars every day that have to happen. The gym has to happen. Prep my food has to happen. Taking time out for myself every day, because people are so busy. You forget about yourself sometimes, and you can't pour from an empty cup. You've got to look after yourself. So that's my challenge, making sure I look after myself as well. It's probably the biggest challenge I got.
Thanks for sharing your challenges. That's so refreshing, mate. If only every man did that, I believe we would significantly reduce suicide. So thank you for sharing that and not keeping it in. Final question. 3 things your friends and family love about you.
No ex-girlfriend. I'm just trying to ask her that. I'm loving, very loving. I've got a massive heart. I'm very caring, and I'm protective. All the people I care about and love. So 3 things. I'm very protective, caring, and loving.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Thanks. Wow. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I can't wait to go for lunch with you.
I know.
Thank you so much for being honest and open, and wearing your heart on your sleeve, and being courageous to share your story, because you know it will benefit other people.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'm really, really grateful for meeting you.
Yeah, great. Me too. I really enjoyed that. It was really good. And I hope if one person, watches this and gets something from it, I've done my job. You know what I mean? And it makes a difference to people, and obviously they'll talk to other people. And I just want to help people. I know if I can do it, anybody can do it. Do you know, I'm nothing special. I'm just a normal down to earth guy. If I could change, it's hard. It took me 20 odd years. Anybody can watch it. This can do it.
Yeah, thanks, mate. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Dare to Be Different podcast, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.